And hello, welcome to the Social Justice Forum. I am your host, Daren Jaime. We thank you for joining us. Now, in case you're asking the question, what is the show all about? We bring you a discussion that is providing a deeper understanding of the issues and inequities that many communities face. From systemic inequalities to pressing social problems, our guests provide multiple perspectives and then add insights, helping us to better understand as well as address some of these challenges. So we invite you to stay connected to us as the Social Justice Forum starts now. And we are back. From our schools to our infrastructure, artificial intelligence is transforming industries and our way of life. But how do we ensure that it's used for good and not for harm, particularly right here in our own city of New York? Well, joining us now to discuss the state's new push to build trusted AI that's balancing innovation with vital safety measures, protecting citizens, and fostering responsible growth. We're pleased to have the campaign manager for New Yorkers for Safe AI initiative. Please welcome to the show, Carlene Pinto. And Carlene, good to have you.
Hi, Daren. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you, and thank you for your patience and joining us today as well. So, listen, when we talk about this here, obviously artificial intelligence is breaking out all across. People are becoming more and more, connected to AI. But with AI comes the need for some safeguards. So from your perspective, give us a little bit about where you see AI today, and then we'll talk a little bit about the SAFE Act.
Yes, of course. So I've worked across social justice spaces. This is the eighth piece of legislation that I'm anchoring, the first in the AI space. And it's been a need for New Yorkers to educate, organize, and mobilize around AI because AI systems are being developed faster than our laws can catch up. And when we think about just the threat of the future, we really do have to make sure that both our legislators and our communities are at the table talking about both what systems, what types of companies, and what potential threats come with them as we, use our discernment in what companies and partners our state wants to, welcome into long-term partnership here.
Right. So we've got this situation where AI is burgeoning. We know that it's blossoming daily. More and more people are becoming familiar with it. And as more people are familiar with it, we're finding also a lot of things that we need to safeguard against. And so I know that you've been an advocate. You talked a little bit about the legislation, but let's get into a couple things because you want to talk about safe AI. And what does safe AI look like from your perspective?
So there are a number of different guardrails we have to start prioritizing here in New York. But today I want to really focus on just there are a few very large, very powerful companies that have the capability of creating these AI frontier models. An AI frontier model is essentially a platform that folks are spending billions of dollars in, trying to create open chat GPT spaces. These are just really powerful models that both have uh, really treacherous potential environmental impacts, workforce potential impacts, but really the RAISE Act is just an acronym for Responsible AI Safety and Education. And this particular bill would just ensure that any companies building the most powerful AI systems with budgets in the hundreds of millions follow common sense safety standards to prevent harm, discrimination, and misuse. There's a lot of confusion around AI. I'm just coming back from a week of action where I hosted luncheons and conversations in Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester. We had a pop up in Queens. I've been visiting organizations in Harlem and Brooklyn. We have some calls later on today with the National Action Network and Reverend Al Sharpton's team. It's just really important that we're talking about what are these giant AI tech companies doing and who and how are they reporting what they're actually building and what they're doing. And so this particular legislation would just be the first for these very large, powerful companies, the Elon Musks, the Metas, the Googles. In no way would this bill stifle what we see as the AI boom and our welcoming of like creating jobs and opportunities for New Yorkers. It's really just targeting companies that softwares could cause $100 million in damage or potentially kill up to 100 New Yorkers. That those particular frontier models have safety regulations. They've been submitted to the Attorney General's office. And in the event that there's an emergency or in the event that, something should happen, these companies are responsible for reporting these safety incidences, and that if there's any theft of their models, the Attorney General knows so that we can actually start to implement these safety protocols and keep New Yorkers safe. And so there's a lot of different AI conversations happening. This particularly is just targeting the largest companies that can create the most devastating models.
Right.
Right now, there's no regulations in New York for those types of models. And a few weeks ago, the governor of California, Governor Newsom, signed a very similar piece of legislation into law. And as of last night, we got a message that Governor Kathy Hochul is reviewing the bill, and we're hoping that she'll sign it into law as well.
When we talk about safety and particularly more so the testing results, right? Let's talk about that for a moment because that's part of your legislation, dealing with safety and testing results. How do you flesh that out for the average person to say, I can get behind this? Because what you're calling for is a measure of safety that deals with these results, but to the average person, they may not know exactly all that you're asking for. So let's unpack that just a little when we talk about safety and testing results.
Yeah, and so we should just look at it like every other industry, right? In New York State, whether you are a hairdresser, whether you are opened up a cannabis dispensary, whether you work in construction, there are so many regulations, right? From reporting, mandatory reporting, safety guidelines, right? Workforce protections. It's just so important that with this new industry, our state is paying attention to any model that can cause any potential harm, any model that can potentially be misused, and that those particular models have specific oversight before deployment to potentially prevent a catastrophic misuse, a potential cyber attack, or large scale discriminatory use. We've seen a lot of different AI models that, after having gone into practice, we see that there are a number of large scale discriminatory problems, right? And we're talking about, in other spaces and in other moments, we've watched where some of the facial recognition software being used by some of these companies doesn't actually see different ethnicities or races, right? And we watch different discriminatory patterns from different companies in those spaces. That it's really just that New Yorkers band together and we educate, organize, and mobilize ourselves, because this is the first piece of legislation, but this should not be the last.
Right.
There are dozens of pieces of legislation that we need to prioritize education and mobilization around, but this particularly would just target those very, very, very powerful companies that, under this moment with the federal government, are literally buying access to our president and members of Congress, right? Over the last 2 weeks, there have been a lot of traction on the federal side around AI. And really, that was due to the fact that New York and California, as the progressive and moral bookends of this country, have been standing up regulations in this industry. We've watched now this administration try and curtail that by trying to include AI regulations in some of their defense spending bills, right? We're very happy that the New York Democratic delegation held strong in pushing back on that, but likely we're going to start seeing things like that in the news. And so it's just so important that even if we don't fully understand AI and the full extent of the industry and the threats, that we're able to target each individual area and be able to pass sensible regulations that keep New Yorkers safe.
Yeah, well, Carlene, you talked a little bit about the governor possibly signing this or taking a look at it right now. Talk to me about state level regulation or state level, responsibility, given the fact that you've got the federal side. What would you like the state level to implement?
Yes, so on the state side, this particular bill, the Responsible AI Safety and Education Act, RAISE Act, was anchored by Senator Gonardis and Assemblyman Alex Boris. Those are two leaders in the state legislature that have really anchored that New Yorkers have to make sure that we're creating these safeguards, and we have to move urgently before it's too late. And it's really difficult for legislators to show that level of courage when they're going up against companies that have the ability to spend millions of dollars, right? We're watching Google and some of their partners spend millions of dollars right now in negative targeting ads and trying to dissuade the governor from signing this bill. And so, if folks have time, our website, New York NY for safeai.com, you can find the social media toolkit. You can find some posts so you can repost on your digital. If you feel compelled to call the governor, if you have relationships with folks in the legislature already passed this bill in June, but as much support as we can get in this final stretch leading up to December 31st is going to be critical. Our governor has to be able to hear from everyone so that we provide her the cover she needs, as some of these billion-dollar tech companies are, really trying to influence her in these final hours.
Yeah, we only have a couple seconds left, but I do want to get your perspective. You've said that you were on the listening tour out there, Western New York, Central New York, and now finishing up in the city. Talk to us a little bit about what you've heard from people, and how do you think those meetings went? Are you optimistic?
I am so optimistic. As a grassroots organizer, I'm not telling folks to do, right? I present to you all the choices and the consequences. Our choice to act, is what I'm hoping folks lean into. And unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion. And so really, we're just sitting with folks and making sure that we're educating folks that this is the first piece of legislation, not the last. But there's just so much confusion around different things happening. For instance, in Central New York, there is a company called Micron, right? They are a hardware chip company in the AI space. We welcome those types of companies to New York. They are, negotiating some space to build a factory, and that would create jobs. We are absolutely supportive of companies that will come to New York, create jobs, especially in areas like Central New York, right outside Syracuse. That is very different than a, open frontier AI system to which, folks are spending billions of dollars and we're not sure what they're doing, right? What data are they using? Where and how are they developing these systems? And in the event that, a potential unauthorized party got access to that frontier AI model, what could they do to us here in this state? And so folks have been so welcoming, local county legislators, organizers and leaders across the state. And so really, we're building out this coalition to tend to this particular piece of legislation, but we're not done yet. There are a number of other legislative agenda items that we're going to be looking to ensure we're prioritizing come January. Hopefully, the governor signs this bill and we won't have to come back to the legislature hoping to pass it for the second time.
Yeah. Well, Carlene, we're going to take a look at this and continue to follow this, obviously, as this is going before legislators and across the city and the state. Thank you so much for joining us here. We got Carlene Pinto, campaign manager for New Yorkers for Safe AI. Thank you, Carlene, again, and thank you for your patience. All righty. Yes, well, we are taking a quick break. Guess what? We'll be back with more on the Social Justice Forum coming up right after this.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at Bronxnet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
And welcome back. Our next guest is a proud U.S. Army and National Guard veteran, a dedicated husband, father, and a longtime community advocate who's spent over a decade fighting for his community, running food programs, and securing health care access for veterans. And he's here now to discuss his vision for his district and how he plans on delivering transparency and accountability to Albany. He's the candidate for the New York State Assembly, Al Quattlebaum, and thank you so much for joining me, Al.
Good. Thank you for having me.
First of all, I tell people who serve, thank you for your service.
You're very
particularly in a time like this, it's always important to remember those who served and those who've been out there. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
How's that shaped where you are today, right? Because you served your country, and now you're coming back and serving your community in a more close and distinct fashion.
Exactly. Look, talking about veterans, poverty among veterans is very high. Homelessness, all the things that veterans shouldn't have, they have. We serve our country, we come back, and we're not supported. New York State, we have a few allies in the State Assembly, but we need actual veterans to represent veteran affairs. We have allies, but we don't have any veterans that can say, I know what my veteran brother is going through. Mental health, things like that, food inadequacies. I mean, it's worse than people think, and people are not talking about it. And it's time to bring a voice to that.
Can we talk about it for a second?
Sure.
When you talk about it, and you look around at the lives of veterans, people see the fact that they've come home, and that's it. It ends almost like when they come home, right?
Exactly.
But the other side of that is that what you come home to and what you come home needing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So let's talk about when a veteran comes home, what are they needing that maybe we're not paying attention to?
First thing, mental health. We need to make sure that our veterans that they're healthy mentally. Let's forget about the physical part. Let's talk about the mental part. Because we see a lot of people out there that are homeless. I can bet you soup to nuts, a lot of them are veterans. And they are dealing with mental crisis. When the mental health clinics and hospitals were closed, then we saw an uptick in violence and in crime. Why is that? Because the people that needed mental help now can't get that help. And a lot of them are veterans. We have the VA, but the VA we have to fight for our benefits. They don't tell you, come in, go to the va.gov and fill out a application to get your benefits. We have to we have a network that we talk to each other, and some fall through the cracks, and that has to stop. We, in the state level, we should be able to say or have some type of PR campaign to say, hey, veterans, thank you for your service. Here we're going to help you, and it's not hidden. And we're going to help you get what you need.
Right.
That has to happen. Because if we don't take care of our veterans, what are we saying about America?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. We're trying to keep my job here, right?
I got you.
No, but I think about how we're really looking at veterans, and we do a disservice. And first of all, recognizing the needs, the services that are provided, and understanding that there's so many that come home with PTSD.
Yes.
And not just PTSD, but the lack of basic, the lack of the basic needs. I was at a VA hospital not too long ago, and somebody said to me, Daren, if you knew the amount of pain that goes on in here, and not just the pain from actually serving, but the pain of disservice, not getting the services that actually, a person needs, that causes them emotional and spiritual, and then also psychological. So for yourself, obviously taking this and saying, I understand the needs of veterans, you say, I go to Albany, I can make a difference.
I can. And I truly believe I can because I'm a person, I'm very forceful and I speak truth to power. I'm not compromised, nor can I be bought. When I see an issue, I attack it. I just believe that we need strong advocates. Allies are fine, but if you haven't put on that uniform, you don't know the commitment and what it is to serve. I'm going to take a quote from what's his name, Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. Do you know what it is to depend on your buddy and have that buddy depend on you? Nobody knows that level of commitment. And that's what I'm going to bring, not only for veterans, but for their families and for the constituency of the 82nd and the Bronx.
Right.
Because I will become a state legislator. It's not just about the 82nd. It's about New York State.
Right.
So that means veterans statewide.
Yeah. I thought when you talk about Jack Nicholson, you would say, you want the truth? I can have the truth. I was ready for it, but didn't have it.
Exactly.
But let me move on a little bit further beyond that, because in addition to veterans, we know you'll do that job. Big issue right now, youth and seniors, right?
Absolutely.
What are you seeing with boots on the ground, and what would you like to see?
Well, one thing that let's talk about our seniors. I was at Stop and Shop in my community a few years ago before COVID, or right around when COVID started. And there was a teenager stealing a page from Vanessa, Vanessa Gibson, our borough president, teenagers. And she was putting her food on the belt, and the cashier said, $100. She said, oh no, I got to put some food back because I won't be able to afford my medicine and have to pay for my food. Are we living in a third world country? Why are our seniors have to make a decision between medicine and food? That's crazy. Not tapping myself on the back. I paid for her food so she can have her medicine. Why are our seniors making that decision? Why are they splitting pills to make a 30-day into a 60-day supply? Why are they skipping dosages? Because our seniors are being forgotten. They're not. I do a food pantry out of my building, Building 2A in Co-op City, 920 Co-op City Boulevard, every other week. We don't care where you come from. You can come from the outside, inside of Co-op City. If you need groceries, we're going to give you what we have. There should be nobody, seniors, middle-aged, children, nobody should be without food. And that's a problem in the Bronx. I'm not even going to say just the 82nd,
Right.
the Bronx.
2020, COVID starts. We know what people were dealing with there. 2025, we can say we're on the other side of it, right? But
Can we?
well, I'm getting there. I'm getting I need your take because you're serving food. Are the lines any different in 2025 than they are in 2020?
No, absolutely not.
Are they longer
Yes,
in 2025?
yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's not only a local thing, it's a national thing.
Right.
And depending on what side of the coin you're on, some people say the economy's better. That's BS. Because people are still catching HELL, trying to buy groceries. They're still trying to pay their rent. Our kids are displaced. The way we sit, when I look outside in Co-op City and the Bronxnet community, I don't see hope. People have lost hope. And when you lose hope, you start tapping into doing other things. Talk about our kids. Our kids need jobs. Our people need jobs. I have a plan to help with the jobs. They talk about infrastructure, we need this, we need that. But let's start training our children, our young people, in the technology that we need.
Right.
AI. You was just talking about AI. Let's train our kids on how to use AI responsibly. Let's train our kids on auto mechanics. Trades were taken out of the schools. I remember when I was in Clinton, you can go to school for 2 weeks and go to work for 2 weeks. That has stopped. Why? You want to know why kids are out there killing each other? They're killing each other because there's nothing to do. It was bad back in the 80s when I was coming up in the Bronx, but it wasn't to the level that you have teenagers shooting teenagers like they are today. And I truly believe that if we give them a job or give them a trade and make them feel responsible for themselves, that they're able to pay a bill or take care of themselves and go to work. If I swung a hammer for 8 hours, I'll be too damn tired to do anything else when I get home. And that's just the truth.
Right.
Yeah, we have training programs out there, we have job programs out there, but I have a comprehensive plan to help not only our kids, but local businesses. Why not the local garage hire some of the kids in the community and train them on auto mechanics, and they get a tax break? You see, we could do that in the state legislating, as a state legislator,
Right.
you know.
So for people who want to find out more information about your campaign, the work that you're
Absolutely.
doing, what are they doing?
They're going to www.al4ny.com. Or they can go to my website at al4ny.com. I believe in people over politics. We put people first over politics. I don't care about party interests. How the constituents want me to vote is how I will vote. I believe that we have to start listening to people instead of telling people what they want, and that's what's wrong with politics today.
Out of time.
Wish we had more.
You got to come on back.
Definitely.
That's how you handle it. Just say, come on back.
I want to come back.
All right, then. We want to have you back.
Thank
Quattlebaum,
you.
thank you so much, and thank you again for your service that you rendered to this country. And our veterans definitely should not be forgotten. So thank you for
Absolutely.
bringing light to that. All right.
Thank you so much.
There's a picture of Al right there in service.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Yeah, we find it all around here.
I see.
We do work here. All right. Well, we come to the end of our show today. I want to let you know we hope that you've enjoyed this week's discussion on the Social Justice Forum. Now, if you want to rewatch this week's edition, do me a favor. Catch the recablecast right here on Bronxnet.org. If you want to join the conversation and present your point of view, you can visit our social media at Bronxnet TV. We encourage you, join us next week. We're going to continue to elevate the discussion and bring further awareness across the globe. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, saying take care. God bless. See you soon.